Want to piss off a white man who probably had tech bro dreams, but those dreams never came true? 1. Be a black man. 2. Be a black man who is not a tech bro. 3. Be a black man who is not a tech bro and create an app, a paid app that becomes the #1 app in the App Store relatively immediately. 4. Be all of that and have that app collect no data. And lastly, have that app in the photo and video category of the App Store. In other words, be this guy, Derrick Downey Jr., and see how fast the fragile masculinity of white male tech bros, who are often also photographers and obsessed with AI, see how fast their fragile masculinity comes out. What's up? I'm an ignorant intellectual. My birth certificate says Zerandrian. I'm the bridge between the hood and the ivory tower. But more than that, I'm a writer and I'm a storyteller. And on this channel, my goal is to create a space for us to think about our thoughts. I do that by talking about any and everything. But what I talk about is always via one of 3 lenses. The first lens, cultural autopsies. The second lens, framework drops. And the third lens, bridge videos. Now, what the hell are those? Cultural autopsies are where I break down what's really underneath a person, a moment, or a trend that's happening. Framework drops, they give you a tool to think with. Because if you anything like me, you sometimes think and feel this shit just ain't right. But you don't always have the framework or tool or language to articulate why some shit just ain't right. And bridge videos connect things people usually keep separate and show how they are actually related. I'm interested in what happens when we put 2 things in conversation that don't often get discussed together. Things like queerness in the Black church or ancestral trauma and transphobia. These videos are about naming the connection, the tension, and the meaning of that sometimes messy middle. This video today is a cultural autopsy. Now, as with all of my videos, you don't have to agree with me, but at least know why you think what you think, especially before you get in my comments disagreeing with me. Now, let me tell you how this random thought of this video came to be. It's not that hard. I was scrolling on Threads, or maybe it was Instagram. Anyway, I saw Kev on stage talking about an app that records both horizontally and vertically at the same time. So that got my interest going because I get tired of having to record twice to get something vertical and horizontal, or vertical and horizontal. So I got excited. Then I went to bed. And then I woke up and I saw the white male tech bro fragility on full display. Pause. I left y'all. I left y'all for months, and I shouldn't have left you, especially without no videos to step to. Step 2. I apologize. Believe me, I do. I sometimes watch YouTubers and they get on YouTube talking about how sorry they are and this, that, and the third, and I usually judge them. But here I am apologizing for leaving y'all. But if I had the time, maybe one day I'll record a video of all that has transpired. I don't even live in the same apartment I used to. I don't even live in the same city I used to live in. But all that to say, I'm back. I actually have a plan. My goal is to upload 1 video every first and every third Sunday. So 2 videos a month. And I have a plan for consistency. So please accept my apologies. But I'm back. Now back to the video. This video is about the passive aggressive backhanded support of white male tech bros who often are randomly also photographers that really love AI. I don't know. And some of them are gardeners. And it's about how mediocre white man syndrome strikes again. Thank you to this person for the language of mediocre white man syndrome. But before we talk about these white tech bros, we must talk about the black man who created and launched one of the most useful apps that creators and non-creators alike have seen in a minute. Derrick Downey Jr. Now, his name might ring a bell because Derrick Downey Jr. is a social media creator known for squirrels. Yes, the animal, squirrels. And in his own words, who run the world? Squirrels. This man loves squirrels. That's how I first found him. Derrick has over 1.6 million followers on Instagram. I don't know how many he have on TikTok because I don't have TikTok. And that's largely from his squirrel content, as he likes to describe himself as a squirrel enthusiast. But 2 days ago, as of me recording this video, Derrick announced something that has nothing to do with squirrels. He is the creator of Dual Shot Recorder. He says it came from this nutty brain of mine. Get it? Nuts, squirrels. Listen, this man loves his squirrels. Derrick said he created this app because there's nothing else like it on the market doing what it does. And as far as I know, Derrick, you're right. I have not seen nothing else on the market doing what it does. And that is to address the struggle of framing, resizing, recording twice. This app solves all of that in one take. Now, according to the app's information in the App Store, Dual Shot, which is the name of the app, allows one recording to capture both portrait and landscape video from the back cameras of your iPhone. It captures simultaneously portrait and landscape from your iPhone's rear cameras in one take. This is perfect for content creators who need both vertical and horizontal footage without filming twice. And it's a one-time payment of $6.99, and it doesn't capture data. Go ahead, Derrick. This is a game changer for content creators. But some white men don't like it. Well, they fake like it. Like they fake support it. You know how they do. For example, Linus Jan Charles Eckenstam is one. His Threads profile says he's an AI educator, a gardener, a newsletter writer, and a generally happy guy. This is what Linus had to say about Derrick's app. This app is making millions in less than 18 hours. It somehow rose to the #1 paid app on the App Store globally in less than a day. It's unbelievable. I've never seen any app get to pole position that fast. It's a $9.99 app. Record vertical, horizontal, in one take. Mind-blown emoji. Linus, somehow, that somehow is carrying your entire post, my guy. And lucky for all mankind, they eating your ass up in them comments. That somehow is letting us know that what you really meant was, why didn't I think of this and execute? How did a non-white, non-tech think of something like this? And the thing is, you didn't even mention Derrick's name until you got called out in them comments. And the way you did it was even more white, insecure man weird. Just so very odd. You said, somehow my thread broke. And I want to add, I'm so happy for the guy. Linus, what the hell is up with your relationship with the word somehow? And you still not mentioning this man's name. I have the very same thought that Lena Verse does. She said it wouldn't hurt to tag Derrick. Would not. And it's so weird when y'all talk around a person while using them as a case study for your own aims. Team Lena. And Linus, help me understand why you are mind blown. And then you turn around and post Derrick in another video on your threads with the caption, the dude, LA-based content creator Derrick Downey Jr. is freaking out when he gets word. Linus, where I'm from, we call that dick riding. You posting him for engagement, and like this person said, always trying to get clout and attention on the backs of black people as usual. Agreed. I just want to know why white men are so odd. So very, very odd. Then we have another white man. We'll call him one follower Adam. Adam says, forgive me for the skepticism. Is this not essentially just filming in landscape and then cropping in vertical afterwards? I get that you are solving a very niche problem and cutting out some effort for people, but wondering how this is declared such a miracle by people in the comments. Still, congrats on the success. Now, one follower Adam. What kind of let me be polite at the tail end so I don't get called a hater ass ending was that? Walk me slow. Forgive me for the skepticism, but what skepticism? What are you skeptical of? Do you know what skeptical means? What truth are you doubting? About what thing are you doubting said truth? And then we got Jason Kiefer. He's a father, a photographer, and a mountain wanderer. It just reminds me of those shows where they ask the really rich people who own homes what they do. I just can't imagine a woman being like, yeah, my husband, he's a father, a photographer, and he's a mountain wanderer. And that's how we afford this $4.8 million home. But anyway, Jason, bro, what you mean when you say you don't get the craze? Why do the words y'all use be so weird? I mean, I know craze is a legitimate word, but given the context, you're a hater. Craze means an enthusiasm for a particular activity or object which appears suddenly and achieves widespread but short-lived popularity. Now, whether the living, breathing Jason meant it or not, your spirit is loud and it's snitching on your ass. It's trying to say that this is going to be a short-lived popularity. It's giving you feel it's unearned. It's giving you feel that it's pure D luck. It's giving why you, not me. It's giving who are you? You came out the blue. It's giving wah, wah, wah. Enjoy this now because you a one-hit wonder, Derrick. That is what it's giving. I didn't say that's what you said. I said that's what you gave. That's what your spirit is giving. I don't know what the living, breathing Jason is thinking or saying, but we're saying the things that we can't see in the subliminals, that's what it's giving. But here's the thing, Jason. Whether you get it or not, the craze is gotten because it's shot right on up to #1 on paid apps in the App Store. What were you wearing? What were you doing? Were you wandering mountains when your app was the #1 paid app in the App Store, Jason? The delegation wants to know. We are very interested in what you were doing when the app you created that met a real need became #1 in the App Store. What were you doing? Let us know. And then, of course, we have the white woman coming in with her very white woman unnecessary. What the fuck are you even saying? And why are you saying it? What's your purpose and reason for being here? White woman response. Because fun fact, white women have their place and they know their place. It's just that often the rest of us wonder why their place exists, if not to uphold this entire bedrock of white supremacist heteropatriarchy. But my question is, Monica, whose side are you on? What side of history are you on? Because it is very, very uncertain here in this specific response. And just like in the real world, the white man you defending has not even acknowledged your existence. Not a response to you, not a like to your comment, nothing. You just out here capping on what? Fumes? Unacknowledged fumes? That man didn't even hit a heart to like your comment. I guess I'm just wondering, when will y'all learn? And I have a suspicious suspicion that Monica does not identify as white. Yet and still, I said what I said. Perhaps I can help y'all out. You are mind blown that your mind didn't think of this. You are mind blown that your mind didn't execute this. Because in your world, you own this. And in your world, a black man who is not a tech person doesn't deserve to have created the #1 paid app in the App Store, especially in that specific category. Photos and videos are too close to tech, and you believe that you own tech. And even more weirdness is how you show support. This is sick, dude. Personally, I see right through it. Why must sickness, of all things, be introduced here, Linus? Because what does sick actually mean here, Linus? Does sick mean amazing? Does sick mean affected by physical and mental illness? Does sick mean exceptionally cool, impressive, and excellent? What does sickness mean here, Linus? Linus, Jason, and whoever else. Why are y'all talking around Derrick Downey Jr.? Why? I think it's like other people have said. You can't fathom that this non-tech black man created this. Your brain is literally short-circuiting. Linus in particular. I agree with Queen and for life. You are likely a content thief. And like other people said in your comments, you're using Derrick as a case study for your likes and your comments because you see him as an anomaly. In other words, you are not smart, you are unoriginal, and you have long ago realized that black people are the geniuses of the world. So what you do is sit back, dick ride, and you see what nooks and crannies you need to maneuver through to profit off of our labor and our genius. Queen and for life is right. You would steal the app if it wasn't so heavily documented. You are seething that you didn't create this app first, but you're probably not in therapy or nothing of the sort. So your inside thoughts have made it outside your damn mouth. Hello, excuse me for the interruption. I would be remiss if I didn't interrupt this video. It's been taking me forever to edit this video. So from the time that I recorded what you're watching to now, at least 3 days have passed. And a lot has transpired around this app. Initially, the pattern that I saw was white men into tech or some adjacent thing like Linus is an AI educator. Jason, for example, is a photographer. Adam is a digital nomad who enjoys traveling, new cultures, food, and tech. And so initially, my pattern of observation, and it may be because these white tech and tech adjacent men were some of the first to speak up. But since it's taken me forever to edit this video and stuff keep coming up in my timeline, I'm starting to see a bigger pattern here. And I'm not going to let these white men off the hook because we're about to get back to these white men in this video because that is what the video is about. But masculinity as a whole is having a hard time with this app for various reasons that I'm seeing online. One of the more recent today, matter of fact, out of the blue on my algorithm that I saw on Threads was from Am Visual Media, who appears to be a black man, who says the amount of organic content I have seen around this app is really weird. Like big, well-known creators in their spaces, but not a single paid post. I know the owner is a creator himself, but is everybody just being nice for free? Now, I don't know if it's just how egregious content creation has become that we've become conditioned to seeing advertising and marketing solely from a monetized standpoint, but there is something happening with masculinity and a non-tech black man creating a techie app, an app that films both horizontally and vertically that has, in particular, men who are into tech. And I say into tech again because AM Visual Media is a videographer. And there's something about, my suspicion is, how did not think of this, how did not execute this, and as a result of that, and that could be off, but as a result of something about this app and this black man, who I think a big deal is that he is not a tech person, he likes squirrels, creating an app that is getting such widespread acceptance and excitement and people seeing it all over their social media. And no, I haven't seen one paid ad for it. But there's something about that that has these people that are tech and tech adjacent feeling something. And this channel is about thinking about your thoughts. And one of the things that masculinity doesn't do is think about its thoughts. Whiteness as well. And I wonder if these men are thinking about what is making them feel what they are feeling that results in them typing this stuff online. I haven't seen any women. I've seen men support the app, but I haven't seen any women not support the app. Even people are buying the app who are not content creators and don't actually need that. For one thing, it's $6.99. It's a one-time payment. And why the fuck not? But it's something about these men who feel that they should be entitled to something around tech, being upset that this non-tech man has created something that is getting such widespread reception and recognition. In masculinity, we got a problem. And I focused on white men and their masculinity that were connected to tech in some kind of way initially. And I still stand by that because whiteness undergirds so much of our responses. And white male bodies, by and large, embody the tenets of whiteness. And so I'm not surprised that they came with a little subtle jabs. And it's interesting how so many of them are faking support. But I support him. No, you don't. You just throwing that on the back end of that so you don't sound like as much of an asshole as you really being. So yeah, I wanted to come and interrupt this video. I don't know where I'm going to place this in the video, but as I'm seeing this evolution of patterns of responses, it really got me thinking that yes, white men adjacent to tech, but it's something about men as a whole who are adjacent to tech, whether that's photography, videography, AI, etc. It reminds me of, not the men part, but it reminds me of when somebody at a job makes a suggestion that blows people's minds, who actually does the job versus the decision makers who generally tend to make decisions that about what should happen at work. And how typically the person who actually doing the job knows better what needs to be done than people who do not do the job, but those people are often the people who make decisions. And this app meets a very practical need. And I do think part of these people's mindset is why I did not think of that. Or how is that so obvious that I overlooked that? Or how dare you, somebody who is not in tech, create something so amazing inside of the tech field? It does remind me of when people we just tend to overlook the actual people who use the app. So yeah, a content creator who loves squirrels, but he also uses the app and can see, I'm tired of filming myself twice. I'm tired of having to have this concoction with a phone going vertical and another one going horizontal. For me personally, I own one phone, so it's always a fucking issue. And I'm always trying to figure out how to record this and record that. And people are simply in the comments like, it meets a need and it's done well and the videos come out crisp. But you have these other people who are fake supporting. Like there was a guy who responded, what did he say? That was petty. Be Like Mike on Thread said, you've always been able to shoot vertically and horizontally at the same time, guys, LOL. First of all, y'all in that fucking LOL. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know that LOL is liable to get you cussed the fuck out. Because y'all in that LOL at the end, say it with your chest, ass wipe. And so somebody else said it's literally not the same. A lot of videographers shoot twice so they can get full resolution of both formats. Now you don't have to. To which the same guy said, enjoy your purchase. I hope you and the creator of the app thrive. Salute. This fake support that's always ending in, I hope you thrive. And it's interesting. That person, Michael Adeojo, Nigerian, is a turned shooter and creator. These people are adjacent to the tech field in some type of way, that have their hand in something technical related. And you can't tell me that he not thinking something as a videographer about this, a shooter creator. So yeah, let's get back to the video, talking about white male fragile masculinity, specifically white men who are adjacent to tech in some kind of way, minimizing and admittedly putting down this man's app, going as far as to say that there are things that already exist in the app store that do this already. I've seen that as well. So let's get back to the video. Hope you enjoy. Peace. Now, I could just stop right here because I have said a lot already, but I want to situate what is happening, because this moment is a perfect example of how we only see a small part of the iceberg. Yes, iceberg. Remember when I told you that my videos are always one of three things? They're either a cultural autopsy, which is what this video is, or a framework drop, or a bridge video. Well, think of what I'm about to say next as a framework drop inside of a big ass cultural autopsy. Who out there can tell me what percentage of an iceberg is above water? Yes, the answer is roughly 10%. So that means that there is 90% underneath the water that we can't see. And baby, that unseen 90% got these white men wilding the fuck out. So remember when I said frameworks really help you see the world and understand why you be thinking what you be thinking? This iceberg model is the framework that I use inside of the majority of my cultural autopsy videos. And it's also something that I keep in my back pocket on an everyday basis, because it helps me see, friend, there are things you don't see. There are things under the water. You only seeing 10% of really what is going on here. It's one of the best ways I found to organize how we think about all that exists versus just what we see. And in this example, all that is 90% more than what we actually see. What we see are these white tech bros getting online, fake supporting this black man. What we see is the shady comments using words like somehow. That's what we see. But there's 90% more that we don't see. So we already talked about the surface 10% of what we see. But let's ask ourselves, what creates a Linus? What creates an Adam? What creates a Jason? And even what creates a Monica defending, not defending him? One thing that we don't see that represents, that's part of the 90% is ownership as birthright. White people, especially white men, are bred to believe that they own things and that they should own things, that the ownership of things is their very birthright. Insert Israel right here. That is a core thought to this entire exchange that we see playing out over the creation of Derrick's app. That's not the only exchange we see. That's not my only thought, but it is a core thought. White men are bred to believe that they inherently and by birthright own land, they own thought, they own creativity, they own creations, they own people. Here's a component of that that's often overlooked. And it's one that I didn't really notice until I became the lead trainer at the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And I was tasked with normalizing these conversations around race and racism inside the agency. And the agency has 7,000 people. And the way that manifested was an all-day, mandatory 8-hour workshop. And I started noticing these patterns because I facilitated, along with two other people who those people changed, but I was always in core workshop. I facilitated over 268 of the same workshop over and over. So after a while, you start seeing patterns. And one pattern that I saw that I had never ever thought about was that white men think they own the interpretation of history. You want to get a white man riled up? Reinterpret history in ways that question what he's been taught to believe. In other words, white men, they don't get riled up over the fact that history happened. They get riled up over the action of explaining the meaning of history because they have been taught that they own the explanation of the meaning of history. In other words, the process of analyzing, explaining, assigning meaning to past events using evidence, they are bred to believe that they own that analyzing, that explaining, and that assigning meaning, especially the assigning meaning part. A second component that's under the water, the 90% that we don't see, is mediocrity as excellence. Here's the thing. White men are also bred to be mediocre. Bred. And when it comes to tech, as odd as this may sound, there is a level of mediocrity inherent in tech as we know tech to be. But white men also largely own tech on Earth. And by own tech, I mean that white men disproportionately own and lead the technology sector, especially in like high level positions, ownership, patenting. And if you know anything about the history of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, you already know what I'm talking about. Black people wasn't granted patents until 1821. Now, I didn't say that they create all this shit. I just say that they have maneuvered and structured society in a way to own this shit. And yes, STEM fields are diversifying, but white men still make up the majority of tech founders, CEOs, and venture capital recipients although they don't dominate small-scale local entrepreneurship. It's why, if you're anything like me, you value tech, but often you find yourself using technology and thinking, damn, this is good, but it's missing something. If only it had this or also had that, or why can't y'all just use this for the overt purposes that it's advertised for? Why must you also be extracting and oppressing with it? Which is why I enjoy that Derrick's app doesn't capture data. I pay $6.99 for an app to give me a camera going both ways, and I get a $6.99 camera app to record videos going both ways. You're not also capturing my name and this and that and the metadata about me that you're going to use for some other shit that I have. I don't read the long thing. I just click agree. Why must you also be extracting and oppressing with this? And why am I often using tech and I'm thinking, damn, if only, and there's a mediocrity inherent to technology as we know it. And that's because white men are born and bred to own. And when you own certain things, oppression is part and parcel to the ownership of certain things. So what creates a lioness? What creates an Adam? What creates a Jason and a Monica? These white men in particular are creations of mediocrity and entitlement. And I believe that the white women are creations of performance, proximity to these white men, and palatability. But what I saw in those threads is what happens when the wrong skin color and the wrong career path collide and create something that dominates a career sector that covertly screams white male domination and ownership. Derrick Downey Jr. is a content creator who loves squirrels. And to the mind of a white man who possibly never actualized his own tech bro dreams, because often I find, if I spend the time to talk to some of these white men who are obsessed with AI and tech, is that they wanted to be in places like Silicon Valley and they had dreams of working for places like Facebook, but they didn't, for whatever reason. And one of the reasons is probably that white people actually do have intense judgment in who they let in and out of access, even when it comes to other white people. So those white men just didn't make it. And so we are talking about, to the mind of a white man who possibly never actualized his own tech bro dreams, and now he's a photographer and AI enthusiast. That says to that mind, who are you to create what I should have and find success at it? And baby, remember, white men don't mind stealing your land, your people, your creation, your thoughts. And that's why I fully agree with Queen of For Life when she said, probably would steal this app if it wasn't heavily documented. Can't trust her. It was largely white men who set up the United States Patent and Trademark Office, but also set it up where black people couldn't get patents and trademarks. Can't trust them. Now, what do these responses that we see reveal about white masculinity and technology? To me, it reveals that there are certain people that whiteness expects to create tech apps, even if they don't align with the white tech bros politically. For example, I'm willing to bet that the response would have been vastly different had Elon Musk launched the app that Derrick did. Whether they agree with Elon's politics or not, in their minds, Elon is expected to release such apps. Truth and facts be damned. That don't matter. Although Elon has faced numerous accusations of copying or stealing people's ideas and designs throughout his career, often focusing on acquisition of existing companies like Tesla, rather than inventing things from scratch. Although Elon is the subject of intense public debate and legal action involving accusations of everything from intellectual property theft to financial misleadings and financial misdealings and power grabs within companies that he invests in, it's likely that yet and still, Linus and friends bypass intense criticism for Elon with things like, it's common for people to acquire tech companies that already exist, but it's not common for a black man to create an app that's the #1 paid app in the App Store for photos and videos. So the question I want to leave you with is, what would it look like if white men and other people who spew whiteness values as their own either shut up, viewed tech ownership outside of bodies that look like theirs, or thought about their thoughts before getting on the internet? What would it look like then? That's the autopsy. That's the moment, and that's the question. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this, the Linuses of the world, the Adams, the Jasons, and the Monicas who straddle the fence, both upholding cis-het patriarchy, while also knowing that these men ain't shit. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. All right, y'all, I'm the ignorant intellectual, the bridge between the hood and the ivory tower. Black brilliance, formal education, not required. Remember, you ain't gotta agree with me, but at least know why you think what you think. Peace.